how those dollars are going to be appropriated from the central office or from the district throughout the district, and that they have not had that conversation yet.
So, another question of mine is okay, some people learn better visually, some people learn through art, some people learn through music, some people do not recognize English, let's say English or Spanish or Korean or whatever, so on and so forth, German or other different languages, but they do identify with the color code, they identify with certain patterns or certain things to help them learn easier, so we don't have a smaller test score when it's time for them to excel and go into preparatory university level.
So when you bring up these issues, I'm going to give you the opportunity to provide this input at the end of the overview. So,
you push forward.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. So.
I like what you said. Some of these dates don't understand. So if you push forward and you move forward, you're still not understanding what you're saying.
So here's the bigger question. As part of your presentation, there's now 19 of us in the room, which I think is pretty appalling for this community, because the African American Black community need to ensure that in the LCFF process their voice is heard, because right now they're not at the table having a conversation. So what I'm saying is, as you present this and these questions are being asked by the parents, is there a note taker? Is you can note taker? She's taking a few notes, but the questions that the parents are asking are valid questions, and it's not the Board of Education actually making final decisions, it's the community with the board.
With the board.
Right.
Correct.
So you need to make sure you let the parents know that everything you say is important. And what I would suggest as a parent activist that you do is you put all those questions in writing.
Yes.
Guess what?
Correct.
What's so brilliant about LCFF? Those 7 board members are going to be working for the next 50 years if we all write questions, because they have to respond in writing, not no blase, oh, can't you want,
and it is
hour, we can't get. So put your questions that you're asking to the Board of Education, and they have to.
And it is why I want to provide an overview of how this works. And I haven't gotten to the part when we talk about accountability for the district. I'm talking right now about the funding piece. There's the accountability. So,
Are these decisions the LAUSD board are making now when you say the board is going to do that?
this will be something that will be entertained and considered by the board in the coming months and has to be adopted in June. If I can get through the presentation, then you would get a lot of...
One question first. Do you know what the present funding per student is this year at the district?
No, we do not know that.
I do. I do, because I go into your budget. It's 11,866 people, 2,000 more than the average school district in the state of California. This man doesn't even know what's going on right now.
So
you don't know fundamentals, dude.
So when we talk about the current system,
Unbelievable.
Was focused on a system of equality. It didn't recognize...
Can't be a teacher and do this.
The demographic considerations. It didn't take into account the...
My kids make $100,000 a year.
Systems in which youth...
I'm concerned about yours.
...have to live in.
I appreciate you saying that.
So, the new system...
I run into circles.
...system actually focuses on a system of equity and justice.
I have that
target
legislation in my computer right here.
And when will this begin?
This begins this coming year.
And you have no representation for these decisions,
We
do
don't
you?
have one board member that's representing us and vote. That's right.
No, but you say you have no vote on the board.
When I talked about
They're
earlier
gaming you.
about the legislature not
Illegally.
being able to consider
They're doing it illegally,
the
too.
weighted student formula
I can show you.
first considered because of a fiscal crisis is because it actually required a huge investment over years to actually make this become a reality for the state and for school districts. It's not new money that's going to come tomorrow. It's not a huge amount of funds that's going to come to the district and take us out and away 5 years of deficits. It's a gradual process.
When does it start?
starts now.
Starts this year, goes over 7 years.
When we talk about what the legislature intended, what the governor approved, it's an 8-year implementation to get us most and all school districts back to 2007, 2008 numbers. She's right when she says that we're moving at a faster pace. It's not 2/3, but I will say that the governor has actually moved this a little quicker by investing 22 to 28% of the overall implementation of the $17 billion. So the idea is to reinvest $17 billion school districts over 6 years.
We have more money per student now than in 07, 08. Do you know that? You don't.
So,
Oh,
what we
man.
ended up doing, one of the key components is that when we talk about legislative requirements under the old formula, there are legislative requirements under this new formula. I'll just read quickly one of the head code sections that it spells out how these funds are supposed to be utilized. It says, requires increase or improve services for unduplicated pupils. Those are the 3 subgroups that I've been talking about. In proportion to the increase in funds, apportioned on the basis of the number and concentration of unduplicated pupils in the school district. The language is not as clear as you would want it to be. So on the bottom, best way to put it is that the new formula emphasizes that every funding decision that is made in a district at LAUSD should be viewed through the lens of how it benefits low-income students, English learners, and foster youth.
But what about the kids that don't fall in those categories? I mean,
So when we talk about concentration and supplemental dollars, we're talking about this. So I said expanding supplemental and concentration funds. The base grant supports all youth in the district.
It's still a categorical system, you say.
What I would like to say and point out that definition to those of us sitting in the room right now is I am very concerned as a black parent from outside this country that there is not a focus at the moment on African American and black students who are the lowest achieving students in this country. There is not a focus on them. Did you see the 3 categories? Right. Now we can argue that low-income students are African American and black students. Right. However, they have distinguished within this LCFF that English learners are a category of their own. And we know who that means. Right. I'm saying
Man doesn't know a thing.
African American or activists, we need to make sure that message is sent clearly to the board. Because we ain't got Mark Green sitting there anymore. What about the we have an empty chair.
So when we talk about the new funding,
this community has no vote.
we talk about how are we going to hold ourselves
I
accountable.
got the law.
The state
Supreme Court
requires us to create a local control accountability plan. The plan that is district-wide encourages telling a story about
She gave it to me.
how we're supporting, impacting,
Where?
and improving for all students in the district. All students. It actually requires us to spell out all subgroups.
Right.
All subgroups.
All.
Yes.
But we don't see that, not with the parent advisory committees. I've been in every election. I've seen 2 African American elections.
There are multiple subgroups beyond English learners, foster youth, that are also in the local control accountability plan. And in that process, it emphasizes good planning, communication, and engagement. And this is one meeting that's taking place in the district amongst many.
Yeah, and guess what? What other roads? Tacos, food, drinks. You give me nice. Look at this kid. Is this what you think about the black community? We have biscuits and a bottle of water. Come on, this is real. We're going to expose this here.
I would like to use different terms outside of like false security. Some people are used to it. So that makes them say, okay, well, okay, we use such things like, say his family, yeah, there's something wrong with that they separate from they want to be with their parents. That's what I'm saying. Some people's children are highly educated, they like I went back to saying, way too big for some people. You know, I just said, yes, we should implement transportation. I remember sitting outside on these porch that year, waiting after school. All I do is process my next day, so what I was going to do for the next part of my future, what I did today, what I did yesterday, what I will. Yeah, but then, you know, we don't want our children to become uplifting. All our children. Because there's plenty of people that and they feel just as screaming as they can be. So, hey, where would charter schools fit in this?
So, as we move forward,
Where would charter schools
so
fit in?
charter schools actually develop their own accountability
That's
plans.
right, they're very small.
So each charter school, independent charter, will develop their own LCAP.
That's what we just.
And within the LCAP, you have requirements to engage stakeholders and go out and get input, consult, and get feedback from the community as to what are priorities and areas of interest that should be included when we talk about an accountability. Let me just finish this slide.
I think
When we talk about
but who does that? Who has shop passing down that? Okay, who does that?
Okay.
Go out.
So when we go out, it's the district, it's working with our board offices, like Board District 1 is hosting this event tonight.
We don't have.
So
I should have given you a voucher.
So then, when we talk about working with our community, it's also taking advantage that there are pockets of and audiences that are different, that organize within their own communities. We have been engaging with those particular organizations and communities to go out. It could be a neighborhood council. We've gone out and talked to PTA groups. We've talked to youth groups. So and had these types of conversations. Questions?
So the three pods, pod group,
Is what?
is what the district, the board decided to leave the three.
No, this is a state requirement, this is state law. And so when we talk about this plan, we go out and do stakeholder engagement. There's a piece within the LCAP that we have to spell out goals. We have to spell out goals as to what are big goals that we're going to accomplish as a district and how we're going to measure them. Then we also have to
We want people to approve
be
this without knowing anything
transparent
about
as to
it.
how we're expending
This guy doesn't know anything about
dollars in the district and what types of programs we're providing in the district to support all youth, to support our targeted youth. Being able to put that out and actually have a open conversation with our community
Now, when do
is
you
very
do that?
different from the old system. We never had anything like this, and this is an opportunity.
What do you think categorical programs are for? And this is nothing but another categorical program, sir. You don't know anything about school funding, I'll tell you right now.
Title I meeting,
You don't know anything about
we
it.
need to get Title I funds.
I'm going to ask,
You don't know what you're talking about.
I would ask just if you
But I
can,
understand.
Matt, you have a question? If everybody else
Yeah,
have a question over here? Okay.
Now let the story.
Yeah, there's a new lady, she hasn't asked.
I'm just, see, I go all the way back to the 60s. Lyndon Baines Johnson, Law on Poverty. When Title I was instituted, it was instituted to help the poor and disadvantaged.
Right.
Kids who could not get out of the community to go to the zoo
That's
and to do different things. And to get tutors and all that. And to get extra supplemental material. That was the purpose. No, top priority was training. Training of the parents, training of the community. Now, so to say that this is the first time, and I don't want to attack you, because I know you're the messenger. But it is not true, sir.
Yes.
This is not the first time. And they shouldn't lie. They shouldn't have you guys going out selling lies.
No,
I feel really bad for you.
I'm
So
sorry,
let's not attack him.
That's right.
Let's
when I talk about the
listen, take the
percent-
notes, and give the response, and we will correct you. And let's just, no, we're not going to do any more attacks on this.
So I'm saying that it's the first
Talk
time that
to
the
district.
state the state
the
has
state.
required this type of process. The federal government under Title I has had certain requirements around engagement and a very different system, but this is...
And you still have to live with that system. You cannot overcome federal law.
That's right.
You guys break the law every time you turn around, including on Lamont's replacement.
Okay, we're not getting anywhere attacking him.
You
Let's
bet.
stay and talk. We've got a question.
Okay, give the
Ask
question.
But we, maybe just attacking, just forget about it.
I'm just asking for you, if I can get... just-
Don't let them tell you lies.
Georgie, let me finish.
If I can get a little order. When we talk about the accountability plan, as I spelled out, that we're developing goals, those goals have to meet 8 priority areas. So, the 8 priority areas were actually defined by the state legislature and governor. Those 8 priority areas I'm going to go over. Student achievement, looking at multiple measures. How are we doing on tests that are mandated by the state? How are we doing from an API score? How are we doing on reclassifying English learners?
How are we doing American males?
Yes.
How are we doing on, in particular, increasing AP scores of 3 or higher? These are all measurements that are actually required by the state law.
And we can add to that, Derek.
Oh yes, this is the bare minimum. This is the bare minimum.
Also, sir, when students get tests are graded, are they allowed to be graded by other people versus saying, we can do that? No.
When we talk about tests,
Someone else will get a higher grade.
when we talk about tests here, we're talking about the state. Well, it used to be the CSC, it's now the SBAC, the Smarter Balance Assessment.
And language.
So,
And then I'm gonna make it. We talk about the children economic disadvantage. What is the basic for the income? What income level are you looking at?
That's the 44,000, I think.
yeah,
That's
it-
40.
40,000.
The housing type, but the definition
Family of 4.
of family of 4 runs about 40,000 or less.
And that's like...
So, and that's federally defined.
Federal standard.
But is it right or what? And how are you gonna verify how much? Because she's talking about net income, right? So net income, they have, that's after all expenses.
It's gross income.
Gross,
Yes.
gross.
Yes. But
But they never see already got their house done last year, so they didn't get the forms in, 200,000 missing.
I don't know if I have
So they lost
it.
money.
I might.
But it just goes to show that this
So
kind of
we're-
work needs to be done better.
So we're right now doing this, and it's one of the reasons.
How are you gonna verify the income?
So right now we aren't required to verify.
Is it right in there?
Yeah,
That's
basically it.
it's the federal guideline. That's always been it. Parents sign the document, they submit it to the district.
Are you all looking at just like school lunch to get these things?
It's generally school lunch, but right now we're going through a process where we're actually having to collect alternative forms. As she stated, it's about 138,000 forms that went out throughout the district for school sites where we don't have to collect lunch forms every year. Under federal guidelines, they actually allow us, if we can demonstrate that a specific site has eligibility of 80% or higher in one given year, we collect 80%. And we say that, 80% of our students, they're qualified, they give us 100% eligibility. So every kid, even if you didn't submit a lunch application, gets free lunch there.
Right, but you got that from the application.
Yes, but the new state requirement says that because we weren't collecting lunch forms at some of those school sites, because we get a 4-year waiver, we have to go out and recertify and get lunch or eligibility forms or alternative forms that pretty much demonstrate that these kids, that these students are eligible for free and reduced lunch.
How does that affect the meal and the breakfast in class? Did they just...
It has no impact on your meal at all. The alternative form doesn't.
That gives them the meal.
And going back to the LCAP, and
Doesn't
we're
affect whether
talking
it's in the class
about,
or
one of the
not.
other priorities looking at the
And they
implementation of Common
don't
Core.
believe
Right
the numbers, so they're making
we're going through
approval.
a huge transition in LEU.
See, I gave the state
A significant amount of
stuff to show how much they're lying.
This is one that is occurring now. the Common Core
Okay.
changes state standards for things.
On 25 school districts, not just on this one.
Children need to learn.
Corlickson asked for it.
And so the state has an interest in making sure that this is
Drove them crazy.
implemented effectively. So looking at how the district, we have to provide goals or programs that support this priority area.
I remember being in high school, I remember we did very well, academically and sports-wise, because we left school. We couldn't have down anymore, it was certain customers. Yeah, we walked on the campus, we went right there to Marcus, we had a good healthy meal, paid for our own food, we saved our own money. But I'm saying, why are students being forced for certain diets in certain areas?
And
Are we allowed to?
I don't have an answer for that, but I'm glad to ask that question. One of the other priority areas is looking at student engagement. How are we engaging students to come to school, be in the classroom, and be engaged? So the state gives us, specific requirements of data, looking at attendance rates, chronic absenteeism, graduation rates, dropout rates. But this is, like I said, it's the minimum.
So is this based on each school?
This would be at a district level.
We think that it should be that students should be able to still keep their school, even though it should be an outside project.
No.
To be able to learn how to nutritionally keep yourself healthy so you don't
I got McKenna going on.
be going
No rain that was in
by other people's influence.
No, I don't have an answer for that now, and I think these are the things that you're bringing up are questions that we should be asking in the LCAP as to what types of priorities or goals or programs and services should we be providing as a district with the new funding that's coming in. And under the LCAP, our accountability plan, which we are establishing, working with you all to develop. This is where we have these conversations.
And where is that? When is that?
So right now, going over the priority areas that needs to be included in the LCAP is, I'll go over what the process. So we have parental involvement, that's one of the other priority areas. We have basic services, looking at making sure that we're providing what is now the Williams sufficiency requirements, making sure that a student's in front of an effective teacher, making sure that a student is in a facility that is in good repair, that their material and standards align, that they have textbooks that are aligned with the core standards of the district and the state.
Now, when you say district, are you talking about LA Unified?
Yes, LA
Or you talking about District 2?
No, LA Unified. So the other one is looking at school planning. Look, this has been a significant issue for LAUSD that we've been very successful in reducing suspension rates, expulsion rates, and working with our communities to implement new systems and new support systems and intervention programs.
That's necessary from community activism, non-profit like Color Grey and community rights who got the district to do the right thing. So this is not district outwards, this is the grassroots upwards.
The district never does anything properly or legally.
So in this work, the state has actually made it a priority, looking at suspension rates, making sure that there aren't...
But the state doesn't have oversight in LCFF, my friend. The state has no oversight in LCFF. If you've read the legislation, there is no accountability in this.
So when we talk about access, we have the requirement or the goal to focus on making sure that our students are receiving the appropriate courses to graduate, be college and career ready. In LAUSD, we have the A2G requirements that are going to come in 2017, making sure that our youth have the access to the appropriate courses to meet their requirements.
And if they don't, who takes care of it? Like there were some schools, they didn't have AP classes. I mean, who does that and when do they do it?
So that's going to be, like I said, this is a conversation that is part of the LCAP. as to what types of programs, what types of investments are going to be made as a school district to ensure that we have the appropriate force access throughout the
And let's
district.
be honest, the LCAP is someplace we can go where we can get that information. We are creating the LCAP. We, with the board, that's our work. It's not their work, it's our work. That's the big person again. They're thinking the district's gonna come.
Think about it.
They're telling it to everybody, they really just, verify what they already did, and said, you really don't have any input into this.
This is the
They're not
opportunity.
gonna change anything, you tell them otherwise, or whatever, so you just say,
So,
they already have their own plan outlined. You're not gonna make any changes to it, so that's what you said.
where did they present a plan? Who presented a plan?
They bring out the rules. You have a lot of corporations there. They were mostly corporations. They have, they're there for their own purpose. Bottom of them, put in the school. Don't get questions about it, but they're saying that they're the community. Even they're not the community, they're not the people that live in the area, but they're getting businesses.
So, and I think what you're describing is potentially an input session that we've held before, where so what we've been doing throughout the district is utilizing different models of collecting input from communities. I think what you're talking about, breaking out into different groups, you have the 8 state priorities that are just all these. And the idea is to allow folks to go in and provide feedback in those specific priority areas that may be of interest in the district. And that's part of this development process. When we talk about the initial stage of developing an LCAP, it's a document that's going to spell out, what our goals are going to be, what our targets for the different subgroups, meaning our English learners.
See, you weren't going to have a board member. Look at the date.
It can potentially spell out different ethnic groups that need to be targeted. So it really requires an opportunity for all of us to have a conversation about what are going to be targeted subgroups within the LCAP. And that's in the development phase, developing the draft plan. When we actually develop that plan, after collecting all your input and information and interest and concerns, we're going to put out the LCAP, the plan. And you all will be able to read it, take a look at what are the goals of the district, what are the programs, services that we're going to provide to support those goals. You all will be able to read that document and provide
from the parents and the house. So this is just your initial discussion, right?
So right now, what I intend to do as we finish here is actually pass out input sheets where you can actually write out specific concerns, priority areas that are of interest to you. You can submit multiple input sheets that, for us, I didn't want to put you guys in a situation where I rewrite something for you and you just circle it.
I just want to ask this question about the respond in writing to comment.
This is critical. He's actually explaining the process, and I've never heard anybody in the 15 presentations I've been to do what he's about to tell me. I need to review.
Okay, let's get the
We're getting input in a variety of ways. We've done it, through breakout groups. This session here, I do not want to put words in your mouth, so what I'm going to do is actually give you an input sheet. You're going to have 3 questions. what is a priority area? Of the 8 priority areas, which is an area that is of interest to you? What is a program or area of concern or an area of interest that you think should be targeted within that priority area? And what would be a budgetary or programmatic solution? What would be something that would support your interest in that area? And it gives you the opportunity to put it in your own words rather than...
So after 13-minute presentation to the parents and community, is this for real? You're now going to ask them to come up with things that are going to be answers, and some of them are answers they don't even understand. If we go back to slide 1 and did it all again, some of you still won't understand it, right? But now you're going to give input into it. This is just... Okay. I won't say anything more now.
No handout.
Because I went to those meetings and I spoke. Nobody wrote anything down. And so it looked like they were shocked.
They don't care. You see this camera here? This is the only record of this. I care more than you do. It's a joke.
So when we talk about developing this process, taking in that input, the process that we're going to utilize here tonight, and I said it, we're trying different methods. We have, and now
They don't even have a
other methods that we're utilizing. We're actually required by law to present the plan to a parent advisory committee, which is now being established by the district.
Where? Where's the parent advisory committee? That's what I was trying to ask.
Where?
Because under DZ, all of our parent committees were abolished.
Illegally.
Except for the ELI. And I'm not talking about school site council because that's like decision making. I'm talking about parent advisory. Where are they? Is the district going to reinstitute the parent advisory? Because I want to know if DZ is going to give us any money to file a lawsuit against the district. For removing the councils that we already have. Right.
She filed the lawsuit.
So I want to know if he's going to give us money. You know, there should be a pot of money that the parents and community can get. I asked this question, same question last night. I mean, at Dorsey High School. So I just want to know.
Yeah, as of right now, I don't have an answer for you.
Okay.
Under the
what advisory? What advisory?
Under the parent advisory committee, this is has newly established as required by state law.
Basic.
So how are they going to know anything by June 30th?
Excuse me.
This thing is complicated, dude.
So what we intend to do, and as required by law, is present to those 2 advisory committees. What is also required is that we respond to any comments and questions by parents of those advisory committees. So that's very unique in this sense in that the other comments were
March, April, May.
we're getting public comment, but
Why you didn't tell me that?
4 months, people know nothing.
Why you didn't tell me?
yeah, it's already passed. We have already elected.
We haven't got
I think we already completed our election process,
But look what happened.
except for fostering representation.
Here's what they did. They came in with another categorical program with 0 accountability. I've got it from China. Toilets is #1 in public in France at Target, okay? CDE has no oversight and has no 80% of the funding comes from the feds, NCRB and RTTT.
It requires...
And everything down here local.
It requires us to continually consult with our community. There's a public hearing requirement that actually creates an opportunity and forum for us to actually talk about the draft LCAP and people provide public comments.
Okay, real quick.
And at the end of the process, after getting input, thinking if there's changes to the LCAP,
said to get up to school 708, want me to see the spreadsheet from the CDE website of the bill numbers?
Will adopt the LCAP
They don't know because they don't know. They believe whatever some fool tells them.
Because they support
They don't know the real game.
Budget supports the LCAP. The LCAP supports the budget.
Immediately.
So
But we won't have any input in this area because our board is dead.
And also, please know that's not the only
I think
camera.
we have a question.
Thank God you have.
Well, I don't trust nothing for nothing.
I understand what you mean.
Thank you very much.
Established, we had
I'm glad you understand.
where we had parents elected and
Okay, you said what?
Why is this training taking place out of why are we the last one?
Well, first of all, the district established a process for the parent advisory committee. That's the first thing you need to know. The district created that model you see on the screen. That did not come from the community of parents, it came from the district. And what the district decided was the three main subgroups, foster youth, English learners and low income, would be represented from their school side. But this is where the district's going to run into difficulty, because one thing some of us will read the law. The district asked each school site council to select parents. That's the first law they've broken. There's nothing about in the law about selecting nothing. The law is quite clear. It says parents or participatory groups must elect, not select. The same one they elected, and then selected, and then the election process, to be fair, and they go to north, east, west, south, and I think they did run a series of elections. Those elections, I can tell you, doesn't look like this room. I'm just going to keep it real with you, alright? There was not one of those committees who looked like this room. And I raised that issue at the board level, and I was told that the net was cast wide. If parents that want to come forward, how could they make them? I think that's a different argument from the argument that we're going to hear later on, and I'll come back to that. At the end of the day, we now have 47 parents representing us, and who we need to educate, because they are like us in this room. Many of them don't know and understand what has gone down. But they
which we are. We are doing
Well,
trainings and
you're not doing
educating.
training. You start contracting the training to an outside entity
To tell them what you want them to know.
who are already on your payroll, who are going to dictate the parents they need to know. Thank God, I'm pleased to say, that there are parents who used to be on the DAC who, God help them all, are now on the PAC. That's all I need to say. I rest my case. Because they will break this down piece by
So
piece.
I will say that in establishing this committee, the state law doesn't require all the different representation that's on this parent advisory committee. It only allows us to actually request English learners and low-income students to be represented on the PAC. But we ended up thinking, and the logic was that LCFF is also intended to target class streets. LCFF is also intended to impact all youth in the district. So have representation from at-large parents who have an interest, whether they are not identified in any of the subgroups, to be and have a voice on the PAC.
And who funds them?
There's no community on that PAC. Only parents who participate in the district.
Yes, correct.
And so that
It's parents, it's a parent advisory committee.
all participate in the local community. Yes, taxpayers.
Right. Minister of the taxpayer. My tax dollar, pay yourself.
I mean, when we're come together with our hearts, it's like they kind of, you know, what is it?
I don't think the intent, I don't think that's the intent. You know, I think we're doing our...
I can't wait for you all to see an African-American parent advisory committee representing that subgroup. Where's it all? Do you have them yet? So you can start filling them in.
Yeah, they want to apply.